All right, bankers. I'm a 21-year-old college student majoring in finance. When you rant about greedy bankers, who at the banks are you referring to? Tellers, security, IT, board members? And is it all banks? Are there any in particular you aren't a fan of? I think banks are great. They loan money to students for college, small businesses, and make homes and car purchases possible. Without banks, this stuff wouldn't be possible for people with pockets not as deep as yours. Money you have rightfully earned. Average American can't write a check for that stuff. I know you complain about interest rates being too high. Interest is determined on how likely the person taking the loan will be able to pay the loan back. More risk to the bank means higher interest. Just like with any investment you and I make, we want more reward for more risk we take. Doesn't this kid just sound like a college student? You're basically explaining banking to me that if it's done properly, this is how it works. At any point during this email, are you going to allude to what the fuck they did for over 40 to 50 years to gradually get themselves completely deregulated? So we had what happened in 2008 and the fucking bubble that they're now creating again with these fucking high-rise luxury apartments. That's all of our money. What about that? What about the fact that back in the day when they were regulated, I forget what it was, but if you deposited $1,000 in, they were only able to loan out like 30% on 1,000 or something like that. It was a responsible number. And then they just kept going after these politicians and paying them off. And then eventually, not only could they loan out the entire 1,000, they could loan off another $1,000 to two other people. So off your $1,000, they could loan out $3,000. So they basically counterfeited $2,000 that's not even there. And then you combine it with the fact that they then had these new rules that made people who weren't qualified to get homes, which then drove up the prices of the fucking houses. You had what happened in 2008. And then after they fucked everybody over, and old people who thought they had their savings, the money that they earned, then had to spend the rest of their life fucking, eating dog food. And these at AIG then say that, hey, we're too big to fail. Bail us out. And then we had to bail them out with money that we now pay interest on. Okay? You just sitting here explaining to me how in a perfect world, banking operates. I understand that. All right? Lastly, he says, if you keep your entire life savings in cash in a bank, you are an idiot. Up to $250,000 is federally insured per bank account. That money should be with a wealth management company so the money can grow and be safe. Thanks for listening and go fuck yourself. Well, listen, buddy, I will chalk this up to the fact that you're a young person. And what you'll quickly realize is that how the game works is you're going to put your money in play or they're going to take it. And then when you put it in play, you're going to be exposed. And they're going to take it that way. That's basically how it is. And you can try to be conservative if I keep my entire life savings in cash in the bank, I'm not an idiot for doing that. I'm an idiot because I believe that the banks it's actually going to be there. But $250,000, if I live my life correctly and off of interest and whatever else and whatever I was still earning, if I just lived within my means, then I am not an idiot. I'm actually a responsible citizen. But this whole idea that, you can never have enough money, you have to keep putting it out there, is because our economy is a fucking Ponzi scheme. That's why. And if people start pulling out and they stop playing the fucking game, the whole thing collapses. So I would look up on that. All right? Woodrow Wilson's letter of regret, the Federal Reserve, all of that type of shit, how the Federal Reserve is actually a private bank, a private corporation. I went down that rabbit hole. I'm done with it because nobody gives a fuck in this. We're all tied into the lie. But I don't know. This is something that you want to do, so I don't want to shit all over it. But, if you read up on it, I've actually sat in banks talking to people, talking about how fucked up it is, and they get this look on their face. They're like, yeah, I know. And I'm like, so what are you going to do? You doing gold coins? They're like, yeah, I do a little bit of that. They're even hedging their bets. But I just look at it like, by the time this person figured out what they were getting involved in, they already had a major in that and fucking college loans and they were already running on the wheel. But I might be wrong. I could be wrong about all this. I hope I am. I hope banks are the way that you said they are. Has not been my experience from the little that I know. My girlfriend is racist against me. Hi, Bill. I've been dating this girl for a year. She is Asian American. I am half Caucasian and half Hispanic, but I look white. She was telling me it's funny that I'm half Hispanic because her Hispanic friend objected to her dating me when I thought I was just white. Normally, I wouldn't let this bother me because part of me gets it. All people of color have experienced some sort of racism from white people. The conversation made me uncomfortable, and she must have picked up on it because she started defending her friend. All right. You said, normally I wouldn't let this bother me because I get it. All right, but it did bother you because I guess you like this girl and she's saying this shit. She began bashing white people and explaining to me that I'm one of the good ones. I come from a liberal mixed family. I said that even though I get it, I still don't think that they should assume I'm conservative racist just because I'm white. She began to lecture me about white privilege and how racism against whites isn't the same as racism against people of color, which I agree with, but does that make it okay? I will never truly understand. They're basically arguing because they're not in a position of power where their racism can affect you getting a job or not getting a job. It can't affect you if you're walking in a park at night and they decide to jump you. But other than that, white racism, as the theory goes and is presented, holds way more power because they can actually end your fucking dreams. Which I love when white people then try to explain to people who aren't white that that's not the case. Let me explain your experience. Although people who aren't white explain white people to white people. It's just what people do. Everybody knows everything, I think. Haven't you learned that in the pandemic? Somebody said it to me the other day. It's like the amount of people without medical degrees telling me how to avoid getting the coronavirus. We're all full of shit, okay? And I am too. I yelled at a smoke detector at people. All right. I will never truly understand their experiences. I know that, but at what point are they being hypocritical? Fair question. I understand that. I understand that. I've been in this situation. It made me think of when Dorothy lands in Oz and they want to know if she's a bad witch or a good witch. And she's like, I'm not a witch. I'm just a kid from Kansas. This isn't the first time I've had to establish that. I'm one of the good ones. I assume you and Nia have been through the same thing. Oh, we fucking argue all the time about shit like this. It's actually, it could be a show. Like we have, and then in the end, I usually end up like being able to explain myself in a way that she understands, and she's able to explain her way in a way that she understands. This is basically the deal. As long as me and my wife don't watch the news, we get along great. Do I just keep trying to prove that I'm one of the good ones? No. Do I call her out on her hypocrisy? Both. Do I let it go? I don't know anymore. Well, what I usually say when people do that, it's like, I just go, what? You sound like a white person. And then I also tell them when they try to hit me with that, this white people are just inherently evil. It's like, no, what you're seeing is any race of people with unchecked power. That's what happens is eventually, I don't know what it is. It is a fascinating thing where I feel like people that crave power and then their psychological makeup is an interesting thing because, I don't know. Most people I know that are cool are not into wanting to control shit. And people who aren't controlling people are not cool to be around. But then having said that, somebody has to lead the herd. So I don't know. I don't know. I get this weird point in my life where I just really, I don't fucking know anything anymore. He says, I don't know anymore. I don't want to be one of those white people trying to act like they're equally victimized. No, you never want to do that. That's a bad look. Yeah, but having said that, there's only so much of that horse shit that you can fucking listen to. You know what I mean? That's like when I listen, like when white female comics start fucking complaining about how difficult. You can listen to it. You're like, okay, I get it, to a fucking point. And then it just gets to the point of being like, not for nothing, you're kind of further in your career than I was when I was at when I was doing it for 5 years. So, I mean, I think the fact that you are a woman makes you stand out. It's actually kind of helping you more than it's hurting you. Am I crazy here? But I know that that's not how it works with white women. White women are the victim's victim.